Father, we come again just thanking you, Father, for your many blessings today. We pray now, Father, that you go before us and that the information that we hear today will be used in due season. In Jesus' name we pray. Okay. I just really felt like we switched a little bit from what we were going to talk about because I think I had switched at the last minute before. But I think this is very fitting, very fitting for today and for what we're going to do tomorrow. This information is really important, and well, all of it is, but this one I think is something that you'll be blessed with. So we're going to talk about food additives and processed foods and genetically modified foods. And with the influx of the genetically modified foods, a lot of us that have conditions and people that are sick are not going to get well as long as they're continuing to eat these genetically modified foods, because our bodies do not recognize these foods as nutrients, and our bodies become inflamed, and we go through an inflammation process because the immune system doesn't recognize it as food. So we're going to start talking about additives, and I'm praying that each one of you will just listen and think about the things that you shop for while we're talking, and the things that you're doing now, and the changes that you possibly can make for your families and yourself that will help you to achieve better health. So, what are processed foods? And we're talking about processed, genetically modified, and food additives. How were they introduced into our diet? How do they affect our health? What is our responsibility? How do you identify them? What foods contain them? And what are some healthy alternatives? We're going to address these things. Food additives. They are harmful substances and chemicals found in most packaged food. Now, what is packaged food? It's everything in the store except for what's on the perimeter, your vegetable department. And if you're eating genetically modified food, there's nothing in that store that you need to be picking up if you want to be well. They are used and they're intended to add shelf life and to improve the taste and appearance. I can remember when I worked as a nurse in the clinic as a chronic care coordinator, and I got my own office, and I was so interested in having some little treats in my office, and I bought some treats, some little cakes. This was years ago, but little finger-sized cakes that were wrapped up. Those things stayed in there for 6 months and they never spoiled. They never spoiled. It was like a little Twinkie, but they were little. But they never spoiled. I know personally that I have dropped McDonald's French fries in my car back years ago. And when I went under the seat to clean it, that French fry did not rot. It was still there. Do you know why? Formaldehyde. They are dipped in formaldehyde. And that's a preservative. And they last forever.
I'm sure tastes good.
There was a man that had a hamburger, and this is a true story, that he was eating, and you may have heard this, and he was rushing on the subway somewhere, and he stuck it in his pocket. And he took off the coat and hung it up and didn't wear the coat for a year. He went back, that hamburger was just hard as a rock, but it did not rot. It didn't mold or anything, it just got hard. Okay. So some additives are known to cause cancer and a host of other chronic health conditions. There's a Delaney clause, and it was back in 1958, that stated that food additives are shown to cause cancer in humans and are not permitted to be added to our food. But because of political pressure, they made some changes and the FDA relaxed the standards. And this happens all the time because of money, right? To allow small amounts of the potential harmful substance to be used in foods. Now, who determines how much can be used or what that small amount is? Right. So not only are they known carcinogens allowed in our food, but certain food additives can cause allergic reactions in people. And other food additives may be harmful to certain groups of people, such as pregnant women and infants and children and people with high blood pressure and kidney disease. But if they're harmful to them, why aren't they harmful to the rest of us? But they'll say if you have high blood pressure, you've seen that. If you're pregnant, don't use it. Well, if you're not, it's still going to cause problems in you too. There's even more bad news. Even all the food additives used in our foods are deemed safely individually. Rarely do they put these things together in prepared foods and have one, only one additive in it. So if you eat, say like something in a package and they put a food additive in it, well, what if it has 3 or 4 food additives, different ones? Maybe if one was deemed safe in this amount, if you add all the other ones up that's in there, they're not safe. You don't even know how much of it you're getting. Testing for additive safety has been done for individual additives, and this is what I'm talking about, but not for a combination of those additives. And the additives that are deemed safe individually may be harmful in combinations. More bad news. So nobody knows the effects of many different additives used in thousands of different combinations, or the amounts of the food that you might eat in a day or consume on a regular basis with these additives. So what if you're eating something in a package that has additives and you like it, and so you eat it every day, like your crackers that you might like that you eat with your soup? If that's got additives in it, and you can bet if it's in a package, it's been sitting on the shelf, it has a date on there, that says goodbye. And we want to look at it and we want to buy the one that has the longest date on it. Because we don't want it to expire. So it says, here we are in 2016, if it says 2017 and then there's one in 2018, we grab the 2018 one. Come on, I've done it. Because we want the one that lasts the longest, right? Can you imagine what's in that that's going to make it last to 2018? So it's enough to make you afraid to eat packaged food of any type. How did this all begin? Well, we started off in the garden, right? And what did God say? Come on, read it, saints. Somebody read it. Okay, so did he tell you to put it together in a package and save it forever? Okay, he said, to you it should be for me. Shouldn't we be picking it and eating it? Now, if God had meant for us to use corn oil, would he have put a spout on the corn cob? I mean, we take things and we make what we want out of them because of our perverted taste buds, right? Come on, we all been there. Don't eat from the tree of death. Okay, so the servant said, "You shall not surely die," right? Okay, so for in the day that you shall eat of it, you shall surely die. And he said, "Nope, you're not going to surely die." But what happened? Man was disobedient and he was driven from the garden. Sometimes when I see that, it just makes me wonder what would have happened if they hadn't sinned.
Amen.
Where would we be now? Wouldn't that have been a blessing? Goodness. So, in the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread. Genesis 3:19. So Adam had to leave the garden and he had to go till the soil. Okay, I'm sure God put him in the garden to dress it too, but it wasn't as hard work. His work wasn't as hard as this is. So how did God's people get away from country living? Now many of you say, oh well, I live in the mountains, I moved from the city to the country, and I brought everything from the city to the country. Everything. Clothes, furniture, everything. And do you know when I got there, I had to send it all back because it did not go in that country house. It looked like it had come from a mansion. And I was in the country. It was a mess. I had to send it all back, so I paid double to bring it and then had to send it back. So we were planting our food at one point, because if you go way back in time, that's what we did. Our ancestors, they planted everything that they ate. So we went from there to living in apartments, high-rise buildings, in crowded cities. Right? Reduced to shopping at grocery stores with inferior food. Just about everything at Walmart comes from China. Can you imagine food coming from China? And we eat it. So how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down, which didst weaken the nations? So Satan had a vendetta against man to destroy him, because that was God's creation, right? Crown creation. He couldn't destroy Christ, so he decided he would attack man. Everything in our basket at the grocery store spells hives, eczema, asthma, dyslexia, headaches, irritability, ear infections, autism, ADHD. Have you ever gone to the grocery store and seen the carts with all the nothing fresh, nothing wholesome in there? And sometimes we have a lot of those packages in our carts too. Lifestyle and what we eat are two things that affect our health and well-being. How we live and what we eat. So, we have childhood obesity because the kids don't exercise. They're reduced to watching TV and playing video games. Metabolic syndrome, with big bellies and everything. Cirrhosis of the liver from alcohol. Diabetes, and it's on the rise. Type 2 diabetes, atherosclerosis, arteriosclerosis, high blood pressure, cancer, migraine headaches, heart attacks. And the list goes on. ADHD, ADD, allergies, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid, gout, asthma, autoimmune diseases, lupus, chronic back pain, depression. And a lot of these diseases are just caused by what we eat and our lifestyle. And of course, medication induces a lot of these conditions. So, did you know that there were flavor companies? Big companies, it's a business. Flavors. They're chemicals that they put in the food to make it taste good. And then there's colors that they put in there to make it look appealing to you. So what do you think about these custom flavored ice creams and sherbets and sorbets and all of those things? Do you think that that's the real thing that you're eating? It's all chemicals, flavorings, colors. Everything has got color and flavor. It's not the real strawberries that you're eating. It's strawberry flavored. This is one of the laboratories. I call it Satan's laboratory. All of these chemicals There's a book that's out, Fast Food Nation. If you look at it, they talk about the chemical companies. This man said he went into a company and they blindfolded him and they dipped a Q-tip. He didn't know they were dipping a Q-tip, but he was blindfolded. They dipped a Q-tip in a specific flavoring and ran it across in front of his nose, and they asked him, so what is this? And he says, that's a piece of barbecue. And he said he felt like he was right at a barbecue. And then several more. He smelled fresh bananas, and he smelled fresh strawberries. When they took the blindfold off, he saw these bottles sitting in front of him. And that's the flavorings that we're eating and the things that we see. Potato chips, and they've got all kinds of, we'll come across one slide here that has all those flavors, like the barbecue and the ranch and all those different flavors and things that we like, and nothing but chemicals. So these are bottled chemical flavors. I bought some of these one time because I was on one of those special diets where you couldn't, you had to make your own things. So I was making my own drinks. A little fizzy water and a little of that and a chemical bag. Okay. Even your Snapples and your fruit drinks and things, there's no fruit in those drinks. It's just chemical flavoring and coloring. Dye, red dye, orange dye, yellow dye. Even your herbal teas that you think are healthy teas, and they say herbal on there, they're not herbal teas. It's just chemicals in the tea bag. These shakers, these Dole peach mango flavored shakers, you look at it and go, oh boy, this probably tastes really good. Not a speck of mango in there. Now, you say, nothing could be wrong with this tropical fruit. It's canned, but it's in a jar. But you know what? Well, look at the color. Look how pretty it is. Don't you know they got food color in there? Because they pick this food before it's ripened. And then they can it. Now, red dye and black and all the other colors are here. These are those French fries that are soaked in formaldehyde that make them last. And they're pre-dipped. Most of them are pre-dipped in some type of preservative and also flavoring. That's why everybody likes them so well. Now, Subway last year had this chemical, azocarbonamide, and this was a chemical that they put in bread. But it's a rubbery thing that they put in the yoga mats that people do the yoga on a little thin. That same chemical that makes the rubber was in their bread. And I looked it up and saw it, so I went into the local Subway in town where we live, and I said, because they said in the article that they were going to take this out of the bread, but it was still in there at the time. And so when I went, I asked the girl behind the counter, I said, I need to know if the azocarbonamide is still in your bread or have they taken it out? And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, well, I looked it up online and I'm getting ready to go teach a class right now. And I'm going to have to tell them that you still have it in there. And she said, oh no, wait a minute. So she says, I've got something here on the board and it says that as of next week or the next 2 weeks, it will be out. But right now, it's still there. So I said, okay, well, I just want to know because I'm going to have to tell the people in my class that it's still in there. She says, well, it's coming out. It's coming out. But can you imagine? So this is not the only restaurant. There was quite a few bakeries, the chain bakeries that were still doing that. Baskin Robbins. All those 31 flavors that you think that you're getting, fresh flavored ice cream, you are getting nothing but chemicals and food colorings. All those favorites, black walnut, chocolate, almond chip. We shouldn't be that anyway, but I'm just saying. And even when we go to our vegan ice cream, it's got those flavorings and colorings and everything in it too. $1 million finalists. Now, can you imagine cheesy garlic bread, French fries, or potato chips, and chicken and waffle, and sriracha pepper? These are all chips. Now, do you think they really have chicken and waffles in that bag? No. It's just the flavor of cheese and waffles or chicken. Take heed. Didn't it say that in Matthew? That no man deceive you. And we're being deceived over and over and over. And we just don't wake up. I mean, what's wrong with us? And look, I have to stand. I've done it. You know, 2 steps forward and 3 backwards. You stop buying something because you think it's not good, and then it was one of your favorites, and later on you say, it couldn't have been that bad, and you put it back in your basket. Right? So, do we want the truth, or do we want deception? We should be wanting the truth. These eye-catching statements that they put on the bags and things that you're shopping, you're reading, and you say, this has got to be good. Okay, so they're listing things like natural fruit flavors. Of course you think it's real fruit in there, right? All natural ingredients. What does natural mean? Not to them, it doesn't mean anything. No preservatives added. This does not mean that there's no harmful additives in the product. By using these words, the manufacturer hopes that you'll think these are healthy, natural products so that you'll buy them without reading the label. Additive free, that's another one. 100% additive free. Additive free, no additives. You know there's got to be additives. What kind of additives are they talking about? Everything's got additives of some sort. So, let's talk about the beetle and the red dye. Does anybody know about the beetle? Okay. Starbucks, they confirmed what everybody suspected about their strawberry frappuccino. What makes this product and hundreds of other common products from red dye is the beetle juice. It's also used in natural red food coloring found in almost all of the red, pink, and purple products. Carmine has been listed in Yoplait. Trix, that's cereal, right? Dannon yogurts and smoothies. Now don't say it just because you eat the vegan one or the vegetarian one. It's still got color in it. Red velvet cake ice cream, ocean spray cranberry sauce, ruby red grapefruit juice, and several colorful kids cereals that claim that they are naturally colored. So you see all these cereals. Beetlejuice continued. Processed foods. Manufacturers like General Mills and Kellogg's are generally unapologetic about using carmine, since the cochineal dye has been used as a coloring agent since the 15th century and considered safe. So you're eating bug juice as a coloring for your food. Natural red food coloring is most commonly derived from grinding and boiling up the exoskeleton of the cochineal beetles that are mostly found in Mexico and South America. In the food industry, cochineal coloring is referred to by a more palatable name, mostly carmine and crimson lake. Those are the names that you might look for. And you'll know you're eating beetle juice. Since beetle juice is cheaper than substitutes such as beet juice and considered better than artificial red dyes, because it is a naturally derived food, and cosmetic companies use it widely in coloring their blush and lipsticks and things like that. After a decade, in January of 2009, the FDA passed a new regulation requiring carmine and cochineal to be listed by the name on the label for all food and cosmetic projects and statement in products and in statement in their ingredients. Purchasers of Dannon yogurt find carmine on the ingredient list of it. Fruits on the bottom of those yogurts in these flavors like boysenberry, cherry, strawberry, and raspberry. The company obviously feels these products need a red boost, and it can only be achieved with the crushed beetles. Dannon also utilizes carmine in some of their Activia light yogurt and their Harvest Picks probiotic. So they just kind of change everything for us. Some of the Greek yogurts. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, approximately 40,000 cochineal bugs are needed to produce 1 pound of cochineal extract for carminic acid. In order to create the acid, the female insect bodies are dried and then boiled in water. Our bodies are built up from the food we eat. There's a constant breaking down of the tissues of the body. Every movement of every organ involves waste, and this waste is repaired from our food. So if we're not eating the type of food that we need, how can we repair our bodies? Each organ of the body requires its share of nutrition. The parts of the body must be supplied with this portion. The brain, the bones, the muscles, the nerves, they all need their portion. The purpose of food is a wonderful process. Transforms the food into blood and uses this blood to build up varied parts of the body. But this process is going on continually, supplying with life and strength each nerve, muscle, and tissue. That comes from Ministry of Healing. So, see these fresh foods and things? Right off the tree. Fresh as we can get them. That's how we should be eating. Food additives and the dangers. Some common food additives. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the names of these things that you're going to see or that you see on your labels. And some of them, we'll probably repeat them a few times because they're kind of stated back and forth in different things. Acylfulminate potassium. Sunit is another name. May cause low blood sugar attacks. It causes cancer and is elevated cholesterol in lab animals. Animal or vegetable shortening, associated with heart disease, hardening of the arteries, and elevated cholesterol levels. We used to think that vegetable shortening was good, and vegetable oil. We thought it was good. But mostly all of the vegetable oils now, the corn oils and the soy oils, they're all genetically modified. And even some of the olive oils that are supposed to be pure are not pure anymore. And there's a list on the internet that you can pull up yourself, and it'll tell you which ones are good and which ones are not. Even some of the name brands from Italy that we thought were good brands of olive oil is not. Artificial coloring, FD and C, United States Certified Food Colors. They contribute to hyperactivity in children and may contribute to learning and visual disorders and nerve damage. They may be carcinogenic. Artificial flavorings may cause reproductive disorders, developmental problems, and they're not adequately tested. Artificial sweeteners associated with health problems. You have to see each specific sweetener to know that. Like aspartame may cause brain damage in fetal cancer. It may cause central nervous system disturbances and menstrual difficulties. Many affect brain development in unborn fetuses of the mothers that eat these things on a regular basis. BHA and BHT, we've seen that on the label and didn't know what it was. It can cause liver and kidney damage, behavioral problems, infertility. You know, there's so many women nowadays that have to go to fertility clinics because they're not able to conceive. It's got a lot to do with their diet. Weakened immune systems, birth defects, and cancer. It should be avoided by infants, young children, pregnant women, and those sensitive to aspirin. It's banned in England, and many things that are banned in England, the United States, allows us to have it. Bromated vegetable oil used in citrus sodas, Mountain Dew is one of them, linked to major organ system damage, birth defects, growth problems, reproductive problems, and behavioral problems. It's considered unsafe by the FDA, and it was banned in Europe and Japan. Caffeine, psychoactive, addictive drug, and it may cause infertility or fertility problems, birth defects, heart disease, depression, nervous behavioral changes, insomnia, etc. Now these F, B, and C colors, these are the food colorings that I was talking about that they put into the cosmetics and also your food. It's derived, a lot of it, from coal tar and must be certified by the Food and Drug Administration not to contain more than 10 ppm of lead and arsenic. I mean, come on. Certification does not address any harmful effects on these colors, and it may have on the body. Most coal tar colors are potential carcinogens and may contain carcinogenic contaminants and cause allergic reactions. What is this telling us?
Grow your own food.
We need to get back to the blueprint, right? Hydrogenated vegetable oil associated with heart disease, breast and colon cancer, atherosclerosis, and elevated cholesterol. Hydrolyzed vegetable protein. Now, many of us are guilty of this one, especially us vegetarians. May cause brain and nervous system damage in infants. High salt content and may be corn, soy, or wheat based. It contains free glutamates. And we'll talk a little bit about free glutamates. This is your soy hydrolyzed protein that we use for meat, right? You got to make your own. Okay, and MSG. May cause headaches, itching, nausea, brain, nervous system, reproductive disorders, high blood pressure. Pregnant, lactating mothers and infants and small children should avoid MSG. Now, we know that's monosodium glutamate, right? And many of us will say, we don't use anything with MSG. Well, wrong. It's got a lot of other names to it, okay? Allergic reactions are common and may be hidden in infant formula, low-fat milk, canned chewing gum, drinks, and over-the-counter medications, especially children's medications. Why do they need MSG in children's medications? Or anybody's for that reason. You know, MSG is almost like a spice. It's kind of addictive. It enhances the flavor of what it is you're eating to addict you to the product. Okay? They even have it in IV fluids. I don't know why they would need it in that. And the chickenpox vaccine. It's being sprayed on growing fruits and vegetables as a growth enhancer, and is proposed for the use in organic crops. Free glutamates. MSG is a shorthand for processed free glutamic acid. Glutamic acid that has been manufactured or freed from protein through processing or bacterial fermentation. So they have taken a product and the byproduct of it, because of the way that it was processed, forms glutamic acid. Now, it is a neurotoxic substance, meaning that it affects your nervous system and it causes nerve damage. Now, all of these names here, can you see those? Hydrolyzed anything. You see those labels. When I start reading labels, I see all that. Hydrolyzed protein, you've seen it. Autolyzed flavorings, natural flavorings, caseinate, yeast extract, carrageenan in ice cream and some milk alternatives. Soy, wheat, whey, protein, gelatin, bouillon, broth, corn byproducts such as oil, starch, syrup, etc. Natural flavorings may be chemically extracted and processed in combination with other food additives, not required to be listed on the label, may contain free glutamates. And that's just another way to say MSG. Nitrates form powerful cancer-causing agents in the stomach, can cause death, considered dangerous by the FDA, but not banned because they prevent botulism. Nitrites may cause headaches, nausea, vomiting, dizziness. So some of these you're going to see is kind of like a repeat. So I'll just kind of go through the ones that is not a repeat. Plant protein extract, hydrolyzed soy protein, protease enzyme, sodium caseinate, textured protein, yeast extract, yeast food, and yeast nutrient. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about baking yeast, and I'm not necessarily talking about yeast flakes, because it really depends on where you're getting them from, and and whether they're organic. And like now, we kind of like have to be careful with our organic, but some of them are not processed in this way. But think about your seasoning, your broths, your bouillon, and the different things that you want to buy to put a dish together that you use. And all of these things have something in it, or possibly have something in it that we shouldn't use. How many of you knew that if you go to Walmart, if you go to Safeway or any of those stores and buy your seasonings and spices, they've all been irradiated? You know that? They're not good. That means they've been radiated. So in order to get a non-irradiated spice or radiated, you have to buy it organic, or it has to say that. Otherwise, it's been radiated. Okay. Free glutamates accelerate the metastasis of cancer, which is why oncologists prescribe what they call glutamate blockers to patients that are undergoing chemotherapy, because that would just enhance the growth of the cancer instead of helping the chemotherapy to work. So they give them glutamate blockers because they may just be eating those kind of foods. Why not just tell them, don't eat those foods?
You get sued by the food industry.
What are processed foods? They are foods that undergo various processes: canning, sterilized processing, freezing, adding ingredients to improve the taste or presentation and provide a longer shelf life. Those are processed foods. So anything, even things that we can at home, is considered processed, but it depends on what you're processing them with. Many of us know how to can, and we don't, put anything detrimental to our health into those canned things. But the things in the store, you can best believe they got things in them. The FDA requires pasteurization of some food like milk containing products which prevent bacteria growth. Homogenization is a process that prevents fat from separating. So this is just a few of processed foods. Those things we don't need anyway, right? See my Twinkies there? That lasted for a year? Yeah. And then all of these good things that we used to like. Healthy choice, look at that. Healthy choice. Swanson's, lasagna, lean cuisine, all of these things. They're all processed foods. Frozen apple pie. I mean, that couldn't be bad, could it? Many processed foods are not good for health, as they are loaded with sweeteners, salt, artificial flavors, factory-created fats, coloring chemicals, and altered texture and preservatives. I don't know if some of you remember many years ago when I was a kid and there was TV dinners. You used to buy a little Swanson TV dinner, and it had a piece of chicken that looked like wood, and it had, some peas and carrots or something on the side, and a little apple compote or something like that. And they were terrible. Well, those TV dinners today look like gourmet meals. Can you imagine what they had to do to those to get them to taste and to look like they look today? They're loaded. Regular consumption of processed foods has a tremendous negative effect on the digestive system, giving way to GERD, that's gastrointestinal reflux disease, acid reflux, constipation, gastritis, and many other conditions. So these foods, you wonder why everybody's taking Zantac and Protonics, and you're having pain in your chest and you think you're having a heart attack when it's reflux going on. It's because of the food. That didn't used to happen. It's because so everybody's on these antacids and they're chewing up Tums and everything else that you can think of, when all you need to do is drink a lot of water and change your diet. More processed food, chips. Okay, the World Health Organization, the WHO, says that processed foods are to blame for the sharp rise in obesity seen around the world. So they're even admitting that there's a problem, right? There's some evidence of an increased incidence in pancreatitis in subjects having high consumption of instant noodles. Once instant noodles are consumed, it takes 4 to 5 days to excrete the wax coated on the noodles from the body. Now, top ramen. Everybody used to like top ramen. Boy, my kids would love top ramen. I had some nephews that used to eat it raw. Just open up the package and start chewing on it. I said, how in the world do you do that? A research in the American Journal concluded that eating lots of processed food like meat, cheese, and bakery products containing inorganic phosphates spur the growth of lung cancer. High salt intake predisposes to hypertension and obesity. Just look at the labels on some of that processed food. It will tell you it's really high in salt and in the seasoning and the spices and everything else, and they'll say spices on there. Don't be fooled by that. Eating processed meat increases the risk of colorectal cancer, kidney, and stomach cancer. The store is loaded with processed foods. Everything. When you go in your store next time, think about this presentation. You're going to think about it too. Go in your store and say, what is it in this store that I can buy? What is it in this store that is not processed? Or doesn't have an additive in it? A 7-year study showed that people who ate the most processed meats had a 67% higher risk of pancreatic cancer than those eating little or no meat products. Men who ate most processed foods had 2.5-fold increase in cancer rates, and women who got 57% or more of their total energy intake from refined carbohydrates had a 220% higher risk of breast cancer than women who ate a more balanced diet. Look at that cheek sandwich. All these meats, nitrites, this is your pizza with your sausage on it, and so I know what we're saying. We're vegetarians. We don't eat that kind of thing, right? What about this stuff? This is vegetarian. It's full of nitrites. You do better eating meat than to eat this. Because this has been processed and it has more nitrites in it and preservatives and everything. At least a piece of meat is just a piece of meat. Okay? But you've added all this to it. So if we're not going to eat meat, that's great. But we don't need to be eating these things either. Not unless you're going to make it yourself. And you can do that. You can make it yourself. What about high fructose corn syrup? Okay? There's a big thing about that. High fructose sweetener is a common ingredient in processed food. It increases the triglyceride level and the LDL, the bad cholesterol. Okay? It increased consumption of the high fructose corn syrup was associated with scarring of the liver. Many processed foods contain trans fatty acids and raise the LDL cholesterol and lower the HDL. The HDL is your good cholesterol, and these numbers should be high. These changes increase the risk of heart disease. So, now you can find a few products that say no high fructose corn syrup. It'll say sugar. But you know what's important about that? Is whether it's genetically modified sugar or whether it's a pure sugar. And not saying that sugar is good for you. But did you know that those McDonald's fries are also dipped in sugar? That's why they taste good. Okay, so let's talk about knowing your numbers a little bit. Blood pressure less than 130/80. Now that's not the norm. The norm is less than 120 and less than 80 on the bottom number. But they consider this to be good if they can find people that are in those ranges. Total cholesterol, less than 200. Your LDL, which is your bad cholesterol, less than 100. Your HDL for men should be greater than 40 and greater than 50 in women. Now this means that that's your healthy cholesterol. That means you're doing good. And most vegetarians should be there. But it really depends on what food you're eating. Triglycerides should be less than 100. Your body mass, that's your BMI, should be between 18.6 and 24.9. Waist circumference in women should be less than 35, and in men, less than 40. Hard to get there. Okay, let's talk about genetically modified foods a little bit. These are the foods that have been genetically altered in order to mass produce them. They give a longer shelf life and they kill pests. And there's an implanted insecticide, Gordon spoke a little bit about that this morning, in the corn that led to a rise in the leaky gut syndrome. That's the permeability of your colon. So it's these little fine holes that cause the seepage to come through of different bacteria and things that should not go through. Bite some before it bites you. That's what that says there. But they've taken the corn, the soy, those are some of the higher products: corn, soy, sugar, tomatoes. What else, hon? Back there, Gordon. Potatoes.
Potatoes.
Yeah.
Even some cases.
Peanuts.
Some of your peanuts and beans.
Mm-hmm. Everything has canola in it. Did you notice that in the store? Canola oil. You can hardly find anything without canola. Occasionally you can find something organic that doesn't have it. So if you want a corn chip or something, you better be going organic, and you better be looking at your label, because most of the time it can be organic and it'll still have canola. Okay? The top 10 GMO foods: corn, golden rice, oils, potatoes, soybeans, squash, sugar beets, tomatoes, animal feed, and salmon. So, the effects of consuming these genetically modified foods: some people have severe allergic reactions to it, some behavioral changes in kids, digestive problems in consumers, and death and behavioral changes in livestock. We had a DVD, I don't know, have you guys ever had that DVD called Genetically? Okay, so a lot of you might be familiar with that. You saw how the animals acted on those tapes that had been fed the genetically modified corn. They went wild. They went berserk. Some of them died. And when the farmer changed the feed, he didn't have any problem with his livestock. So how can you protect your family? So get back to basics. And God said, "Behold, I've given you every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree which is in the fruit yielding seeds, you shall be for meat." These foods include what? Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. These foods should be prepared in simplistic manner as possible to maintain all the life-giving properties. You know, if we want to cook them or we want to make recipes out of them, if we just went and used those main things that this is listing, we would be a lot better off than going out and getting other things and trying to make something out of them. But even better than that, if we're going to go back to Eden and we're preparing ourselves for translation, shouldn't we be trying to get back to the main diet? And that was like eating the fruits and the vegetables as they come off of the tree. And this is another topic to discuss those things that were made in the laboratory, and they're not even considered. I mean, there's so many hybrid plants and things out there that God did not even put together that we eat. Eat real. Eat real food. That means beans, nuts, vegetables, seeds, grains, just like it is. There was a girl that did a blog, Real Food, and she did a challenge. She was on the internet, and she was challenging people to eat real food for, I think it was a month of real food. And the people that did just changed their health totally, just committing themselves to eating real food. Of course, that means you got to work a little bit harder because you got to make it from scratch. But what's wrong with eating some beans and some rice cooked from scratch and putting some vegetables with it? So eating clean 101, avoiding ultra-processed food. Examples of ultra-processed foods are breads, biscuits, cookies, cakes, pastries, ice cream, jelly, jam, canned in syrups, chocolates, confectionery, candy, cereal bars, protein bars, breakfast cereals and added sugar, chips, crisps, sauces, savory, and sweet snacks, products. Oh gosh, this list goes on. Cheeses, sugared fruit and milk drinks, regular and diet sodas and other soft drinks, frozen entrees, pasta, pizza, prepared meat, poultry, fish, vegetables, you name it. There's more. Canned smoked meats, baby food, baby formula. Baby formula is some of the worst ingredients in baby formula. It makes you scared to give it to your children. So, more ways is to learn to read and understand food labels. If you can't read it and you don't know what it is, you shouldn't want to buy it. You can't just turn your head and say, oh, I don't know what that is, and throw it in your basket. You can't do that. I mean, what if it was cyanide and they just changed the name? I mean, because that's basically what they're doing. They're killing us. By law, food labels are required to list all ingredients to alert consumers to the potential harmful ingredients as well as the possible allergens. The problem is that most consumers are not educated, so that's us, we're the consumers, about the harmful things that are, the ingredients and additives that are in this food. I don't know how good you can see that one, but can you imagine a label on food with all that in it? Sometimes when you buy a loaf of bread from the store, and I bake bread most of the time. I don't buy much store bread or shop bread as they call it, but if I do have to buy a loaf, I'll get an organic loaf. But my bread has 6 ingredients in it, It's flour, some kind of sweetener like honey or molasses, water, yeast, and the wheat, the flour, the water. Yeah, the yeast, and you add them up, it comes out to about 5 or 6, the oil. 6 things. And that's it. But you get this, and it's got 20 or 30. GMO free. Think about being genetically modified. Get on the internet, find information and read. And I know we're not voters and everything, but you should be supporting those people that do. Because there are people who are really, advocates for, not having genetically modified food. And these labels, USDA approved, don't go by the USDA, because that doesn't mean anything. So, the time has come when God has opened the ways for families. And if He does do that, we should move out of the cities, and our children should be taken into the country. And I know we feel for our children because we have a vision and they don't see it. They're in the cities, and we just prepare a place for them and pray that when the time comes that the Lord will open the doors and let them out. And they think that they're going to come home eventually. I pray that they can get out. The parents should get as suitable a place as possible that their means will allow. It doesn't have to be a big place, just a little plot. Though the dwelling may be small, yet there should be land in connection with it that may be cultivated. Country Living, chapter 7. Prepare your own food. Take your life back. Make it from scratch. When you have time off on Sunday, put some food together and freeze it and eat it during the week. Take it out. Cook a big pot of beans. Divide it up into containers. Do the same thing with your rice. And then all you need is a little salad with it or something. Sister White says poor cooking is a sin. That we should all know how to cook. And if we don't, we need to go sit under somebody that does. A knowledge of the cookery worth 10 talents. Counsels on Diet, chapter 14. So, right blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. So the table of translation, it will just be sparsely. I don't know, we'll probably have a lot of things that we don't even know. Fruit and vegetables, things that we can't even, well, we probably won't have any vegetables, because if we go back to eat, it'll be all fruit. And you know, there's so many fruit that we think, vegetables that we, they're fruit, but they look like vegetables, like the tomatoes and the cucumbers and the squash. All those are fruit. You know, we think they're vegetables, so we cook them. They're fruit. They should be in our salads. Right? They're fruit. They have seeds. Every herb bearing seed I've given you. If it's got a seed in it, it's a fruit. Okay? Whose table is this? We need to be careful. How much time do we have to educate ourselves regarding healthy eating and to make the needed changes in our diets to prevent sickness and premature death? The choice is yours. Okay. These are just a few of the thousands of food additives commonly added to our food. You can go online and you can get a copy. It's called Food Additives, a Shopper's Guide. So what's safe and what's not. There's also an app that you can download to your phone. Sometimes if I'm not sure about something, I would go in my phone and look. And while I'm shopping, I can look it up. So you should be able to do that and look it up. But you owe it to yourselves to educate yourself. You got to take your life back. If we don't do this, nobody's going to do it for us. There's a book list here. One that I really liked was Days of Hunger, Days of Chaos by Tex Morris. He talks about frankenfood. That's genetically modified food. And he was talking about, I didn't know what he was talking about years ago. He was talking about frankenfood. And I was going, what is frankenfood? This has been 10, 15, 20 years ago. I thought, what is frankenfood? Genetically modified food. Pandora's Lunchbox, How Processed Foods Took Over America's Meal. And Your Right to Know, Genetically Engineered and Secret Changes in Your Foods by Andrew Kimbrough. And Own Your Body by Stan Malmstrom. Food Additives, the Shopper's Guide, we talked about that. I'll leave this slide up in case anybody wants to copy it. Anything off of there. And if I can take some questions and answers right now, we can do that. Is there anybody that has a question?